So again, my journey at Cornerstone started around 2 years old when I walked into Doylestown for the first time, and I'm walking to the kids care club, the playroom, and on my way in, I'm seeing this big jacked guy in a blue shirt, and I thought he looked like Superman. And it's so funny because again, as a kid, you can't process what's going on except that you think it's really, 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 really cool. And I was like, I want to be just like that guy. He's big, he's muscular, he looks good. I was like, oh, that looks awesome. And he just looked so independent and just so full of life. I was like, oh, like I would love to be in that page one day. And then fast forwarding to '07 when I walked into the Cornerstone clubs in New Hope in '07 and going into that playroom and seeing how everyone was so positive and everyone was on the same page and the staff was always happy. And then going into the spin room at Doylestown or New Hope and helping my mom sit up and having the men and women in there say, hey Rob, how are you? Good to see you. All these things. Like, it was so cool and so rewarding. And as a young kid, it was awesome because, I mean, people who know me as a kid know I was a big troublemaker. You know, I got suspended a lot from school. I went through a lot of hard things. So for, you know, a population of people just to say, hey, we don't know you, but we're going to accept you as one of our own and welcome you right into the Cornerstone family, that was unbelievable for me, and something that I think I will never forget that, but also something I hope we can pass down to, you know, the other kids at the kids club in Doylestown, because it is such a it is more powerful than people think. It's really rewarding, and it's really, really cool when you're able to feel like a part of something, especially as a young kid. Mom, when I was 12, I was in 6th grade, and she goes, just come to the gym with me one night and see if you like it. Yeah. So I remember I went to the spin bike, and I was like, Mom, I can't do this, I can't do spinning or whatever. So then I went over to the treadmills, but it actually ended up working really well for me, because that was my slow introduction to weight training and strength training, because I didn't do it yet at that age, but I started seeing, like, again, like these guys and girls lifting these dumbbells, lifting these barbells, and lifting these things, and I was like, oh, that's really, really cool. So to answer your question again, I fell in love with it when I walked into the gym and saw everyone so positive, but then walking around and going to help the mom set up for spin class, and then going to the floor to see the treadmills and stuff. I didn't know what I was walking into, but I knew it was really freaking cool. And I'll never forget, that's what really excited me. And the first time I ever worked out on the treadmill, I'll never forget, I used that calorie counter that these treadmills have, and I thought it was so cool because in 20 minutes I burned 100 calories, which wasn't anything crazy, but I was like, oh, this is awesome. I was like, I'm working out. And that right there is when my fitness journey, I didn't even realize it, but then it just slowly just started, where I was like, oh, I just got done my 30-minute workout. I feel really, really good right now. And that was so, in terms of just momentum and catalyst for me, it was huge. So that was my first time ever walking into the yoga club. So at that teenage age, and this is the biggest thing in terms of my story and what helped me understand the power of hard work and power of kind of where I'm at today and where Cornerstone is today, is that at 13 years old, a year after I started working out, occasionally with my mom, I was playing football. And I'll never forget, there's this one kid who was always bigger than me, he was always faster than me, and he was always stronger than me. And I was so frustrated because as me thinking I'm a really good athlete, I would play this kid who was a good athlete too, but has had a little bit more than me. I remember asking him one day, I'm like, hey man, you're really good, and we both play the same position, and you're gonna play over me. How can I, compete with you? And he goes, oh, I see a trainer. And I'm like, what do you mean? What's a trainer? So then he goes on to say, oh, I have a football trainer, and he trains me in strength, and trains me in this, and trains me in that. And I was like, oh, that's neat. So then what do? I go home or whatever, and then and that time I go on YouTube, and I'm like, okay, football trainer workout 101. And then I start doing ladder drills, and then I start doing jumping jacks, and then push-ups, squats, functional movement, if that makes sense, a lot of body weight movement. And then that right there in my early teenage years, going into 7th and then 8th grade, was huge for me, because then I was like, oh, I'm working out now, but now it doesn't only feel good, there's also a purpose behind it too. Football that year in 8th grade, and not that it was a huge competition, but me and that kid I was telling you about, we were both then playing and starting together, and we're both equally good. So then it was really rewarding, because I was like, oh, 7th grade I was here, now 8th grade I'm here. I was like, what do I think I can do, or what's going to happen now if I do this again? And then in 9th, it's big time, and that was all thanks to the first part of my story, was going into the New Hope Gym in Doylestown Gym and seeing these guys work out. Again, I wasn't sure what was going on, but then actually doing it and then working at it, I was like, oh, this makes total sense now. Because as you're 13, 14 years old, you're not, jacked up, but you're slowly starting to develop muscle. So I remember I would come to the gym and do these functional programs and do these running programs, and I felt great. And that's what then led me into lifting weights. Absolutely. So then this is 9th through 12th grade. I'm starting to work out on my own. I'm programming my own workouts and doing all these things. And it's funny because your environment, it really makes you who you are. At the time when I went to Counselor Rock North, I knew two things. I knew I just was a really hard worker. And I knew that I always had a goal in mind. I wanted to achieve that goal. Now, back in my high school days, I was like, okay, you know, I'd be great if I go on to play college football, which I did for a period of time. It would be great if I maybe went on to maybe doing some type of a military type of a career or something like that. And through doing, you know, these physical activities and through doing high school, I was like, hey, I really love one thing. It's always a constant, and that is always the gym. Like, if I don't get to the gym every single day, even in high school, I felt like I was missing something. So it's so funny because I'm sure everyone, whoever is watching this, can relate to this. But I feel like you oftentimes have that potential, an ability to be great at something. You just don't know what that is. And for me, in high school, I always thought, okay, football is going to be my thing. Football is going to be my thing. Football is going to be my thing. And then college comes around, and there's 5 guys that can run high, jump high, run fast, lift heavy, and I'm like, oh, this is a lot harder than I thought it was. And I will never forget the day where I'm just like, you know what? I'm going to continue to work on myself in high school and continue to weight train. And I'm going to go to college and try out this career. But I was like, I always have a passion and love for personal training and fitness. So I'll never forget the day. I'm working hard throughout my high school years. I'm working hard throughout college. It's October 6th, 2019. I'm a criminal justice major, and I'm a military science major. So my career was set on being like a police officer and being in the military. And I'll never forget it. I called my mom that day, and I was like, Mom, I think I'm done. And she goes, what do you mean you think you're done? And she goes, I think I need to come home, and I think I just need to reset myself into something that I really do enjoy and like. And at the time, she goes, I don't know where this is coming from. I don't know if this is a good idea. And I was like, I know, but I just need you to trust me. So that day, when I forget the day, I got my things. I withdrew from college. I came home. And she goes, so what are you going to do? And I said, I'm going to shock you. And I came home and I said, I'm going to commit myself to this goal that I've had in mind for a while, which is being a personal trainer and being in the fitness career field. So this is a great story. So resuming where I was, in October, came home, basically fell flat on my face because I'm like, okay, I'm going to become a trainer. And then what happened? COVID happened, which was one thing that really derailed everybody. And then also at the same time too, I'm trying to get my certification, and every time I'm studying and trying to test for it and trying to test for it and trying to test for it, the community college that I was attending was like, hey, Rob, sorry, we can't get you in for a test. There's a worldwide virus going on. So now I'm here, and this is probably February, and I'm like, February of 2020, and I'm like, what am I going to do? So my mom, who's always been my greatest supporter, is like, you know what, just put your head down, just study, and it will come. And I will never forget it because you have to fail and fail and fail and fail until you succeed. I failed my personal training exam, ready? Twice. I failed it twice, and I'm like, oh my gosh. Because I was waiting for COVID to simmer down for me to get it. I finally go into the office in the exam center to get this exam done, and I kept failing, and I'm like, are you kidding me? And the third time around, I gave it everything I had, and I passed. And I was so excited. I was so ecstatic. I'll never forget the day. I was so happy. It was early spring 2020. And then going from there, it was funny because I feel like everyone gets like you get the degree, you get the raise and the job, you get the car, and you're like, oh, this is going to be the best thing ever. Walk into the gym July 1st, 2020, when restrictions were lowered, and there was not a soul in here. Mm-hmm. And I remember sitting here like in the front desk and being like, wow, this is going to be a lot harder than I thought to get personal training clients. And it's so funny because my mom, again, the greatest supporter, but she's, like, why don't you keep going back? She goes, keep going to school, but, you can always get another job doing this and doing this and doing that. And I'm like, no, I was like, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to go all in on it. And I would never forget the day I got my first ever client here, and I was so thankful and so happy because I just happened to meet them on the floor. And I don't know if anyone can relate to this, but it's like when you want something so bad and then you work hard and you get it, it's almost like such a self-high, you want to continue to go for it. So I went from one personal training client to then 2 personal training clients to then 3 to then 4 to where in 2020 and 2021 it snowballed to being almost a full-time trainer in the span of about 18 months. And it was awesome. That's a great question. It's funny because I always, when I started this journey 5 years ago, I knew I was going to be not only a great team player through the great community here at Cornerstone, but I also knew I was going to do great things, not for myself, but for, others. Yeah. And I always thought 5 years ago, once I get that, that award, once I get that thing, once I get that, that recognition, that I would be happy. And I'm more happier than ever before, and I'm more grateful than ever before. But the award is great, it's awesome, and it's a great representation of Cornerstone. But the only thing I want to do, and this is day in and day out, is just be on a constant journey of bettering myself, being the best man I can be, trainer I can be, leader I can be, provider I can be. And that's something that will never change. And now that I have this award, my goal every single year is just to raise the bar more and more and more and more and more, not only for Cornerstone, which is such a great company, but also for all the members here. And to be able to serve everyone and say, hey, you know what, this is a positive community with positive, passionate trainers that want the best out of their clientele. And I think this award doesn't just show it's a me thing, it's actually a we thing. And it represents what Cornerstone represents, it represents what the trainers represent here, it represents what I represent here, and all of our clients and my clients. I'll tell you right now, I believe it fully. I mean, with or without this award, we are the best in Bucks County, and I would put that with any other gym. So, a very short answer, it's great, but always want more. Having my mom in my life has been the best blessing, because if people know me from when I was younger, I was very volatile. And that's very PG way of saying it. And I had a lot of vices and a lot of trouble. And having one parent that was a great role model that basically said, hey, I don't care what you do, I'm not going to give up on you. That's all I think anyone ever needs, and that's all I think anyone ever wants to hear. Because basically she was saying, hey, I don't care how many times you mess up, I don't care how many times you get suspended from school, I don't care how many times you get in trouble with certain people, I don't care how many times you do X, Y, and Z. She's like, I'm not going to give up on you. You know, it's like we're either going to make it or we're not going to make it. And it's just such a blessing, because having her in my life as a role model pushes me every day to be better. You know, because she works as hard, if not harder than I do. And that's always a motivator to say, hey, you know what, my mom, you know, she has every reason to, you know, say, hey, life isn't fair. But she goes after it every single week and every single day, and it's awesome. It's a great question. People oftentimes will stereotype personal training, and they will say, you know, it's a good hobby, it's a good side hustle, it's a good you know, maybe side career, if you will, you know, a good little, you know, buffer. I would say to any young person who wants to choose this career, it is not only the best career field out there, but it is the most popular field in terms of growth. As I'm telling you, every single year people are looking into fitness, whether it's an online trainer or in-person trainer, and people are wanting to get better. So if you're a young kid out there and you're like, hey, I have a passion for fitness, but I don't know how to do it or what to do, the recommendation is you go out there, you find a local gym, and you just go out there, you get a job, and you do it. Because if you're good at what you do and you have a passion for it, not only will you be successful at it, but you will make a good, and not that it's all about money, but you will make money doing it as well. You can make a career out of this, you can make a living out of this. Me and some of the other trainers here are living proof that you can do it. You just have to be able to put your mind to it and work hard. But you can definitely make this a career if you're willing to commit to this kind of a lifestyle.